Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and thanks for joining me. I definitely appreciate it. Now guys, I have a watch here today that I've been kind of putting off reviewing. I was afraid I'm not going to like the watch. It's not my favorite G-Shock ever. And that's probably because they went to an analog version of this. The Frogmen have always been digital versions. And I think the main thing about this that I don't like is the fact that, a lot of this stuff is hard to read in an analog format. Whereas with the old digital Frogmen, everything was right there, easy to read. You could just get information faster. Now, is it a good looking watch? Absolutely. I mean, I do like the way it looks, but it's a lot of information to display in an analog format. And that's really kind of the only gripe I have with this watch. Is it a little bit big? I take that back. Okay. Is it a little bit big? Yes. Is it expensive? Yes. Do you really need this much watch unless you're an actual Navy SEAL or a diver? Absolutely not. Does it look cool as hell? Absolutely. It's a really cool looking watch. So there really are a lot of, pros and cons with this thing. Overall, I do like it. But again, maybe not my favorite G-Shock of all time, simply because they went to an analog format. Anyway, I'm sure I'll ramble on a little bit more and we'll discuss more about this watch in just a second. Let's check this thing out. All right, guys, we'll get into this thing, but first, check out my Amazon shopping channel if you like any of the other watches I've reviewed on my channel. I do get a very small commission if you buy from my Amazon store, so I definitely appreciate it. So this is your typical Master of G watch box right there, because the Frogman is a Master of G. It falls in that lineup. Y'all seen these watch boxes a million times. The watch box itself has like a soft kind of, I don't know, rubbery kind of texture. I can't really explain it. It's cool. It's nice. There you go. I mean, nothing spectacular, but a nice box. Here is the Frogman. A good looking watch. I mean, if it was just like a regular kind of G-Shock and didn't have all the functionality that it does, because this thing can do a ton of stuff, I'll say, man, that's a good looking watch. I've never been a huge fan of having dual time right there, on the dial. It's just, guys, I'm really torn with this watch. I want to like it because the Frogman, that's a legendary model from G-Shock. They've been around forever, and I want to really, really like this thing. But I'm just torn, man. I mean, it's got a ton of functionality. It's tough as hell, obviously. You got a sapphire crystal and all this other good stuff. Anyway, let me go ahead and tell you all the, the 7 specs you need to know, and then we'll talk a lot more about the rest of the watch. I'll probably bounce all over the place with this review, so just kind of bear with me. Let me go ahead and take it off its pillow here. There we go. Of course, you know what you get in the box. If you've ever seen a Master of G review, you get your manual and some warranty stuff. So nothing too exciting there. Let's get all this stuff out of the way. I was going to shoot this video on my new S21, but I wasn't quite ready to do it because that phone has got so many options for cameras. It's going to take a while to just to learn the dang thing. All right, so the 7 specs you need to know. You're looking at a 53.3 millimeter carbon fiber monocoque in stainless steel case. It's a thick watch at 19.7 millimeters. It's lug-to-lug 56.7 millimeters. It's on a proprietary Fluoroelastomer strap. And basically that strap is really good. It's a very long-wearing strap. Water's not going to degrade the strap as fast as water would with some other straps. This is G-Shock's only ISO 200 meter rated dive watch. So it's actually ISO rated, which stands for, I think, International Standards Organization, I believe. The movement is a 5623 with an 8-month power reserve, and it does have a sapphire crystal with AR coating. So guys, I mean, this watch, it does everything. I mean, it's atomic, it's solar, it's Bluetooth, it's ISO rated. It's a diver. You've got dive times, you've got world time, you've got dive logs. You've got two, you got an illuminator for the actual watch dial, and you've got some Neobrite around the edge for the dial as well. Really good lume on this thing. I was really shocked at how well that Neobrite held up. Really shocked, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. I mean, it's built like an absolute tank. I mean, just look at this thing, man. I mean, look at it. It is built like an absolute tank. So you're looking at, basically what? 4 dials. You have got the dive time dial and also your day of the week, your mode. This is your dual time over here at what's that about, I guess, 8 o'clock. You have a world time up there. I'm sorry, you have a 24-hour dial up there at what about 10 o'clock. You get a little AM PM dial down here at like the 4 o'clock section of the sub dial over here at 8 o'clock. A lot of dials there. And the cool thing about these hands is they have, I think they are dual coil motors. Yeah, the hands have 3 dual coil motors, so they move extremely fast. If y'all remember that Citizen Satellite Wave review I did, I don't know, gosh, years and years ago, those satellite wave watches from Citizen have some of the fastest moving hands I have ever seen on the watch. This comes really close. And they can also move backwards, and I'll show you a countdown function where the actual second hand is moving backwards. Incredibly cool, man. I mean, it's a really, really neat watch. You've got a screw down crown with incredible knurling. You've got 2 positions. There's the first position. There's the second position. See how fast that hand moves? Pop it back in. Now, guys, I'm not going to go into a full review of this watch because it's got so much stuff. It would literally take me an hour to do like a how-to video on this watch. It's pretty self-explanatory, the main modes. And let me go ahead and show you those. Let me go ahead and screw this thing back in here. All right, guys, let's go ahead and check out these different modes. Now, this is probably my 30th take trying to get this right. I mean, there's a ton of stuff to go over with this watch, and it can be a little overwhelming. So anyway, gotta hope this is my last take doing this. Anyway, this is the home screen. This is basically your calendar mode, which again, is kind of where you start from. And if you notice, when you go through the different modes, you'll hear the beep, and then that confirmation beep lets you know that you're on the home screen. Let me show you. Beep, 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 high pitch coming up. Now it goes back to the calendar mode, okay? So you know you're in the calendar mode because the sub-dial over there at 3 o'clock is pointing to Friday. You got your date down there. I've got my world time currently set to London, which I think is 5 or 6 hours ahead. If you notice, over in London, it's about 2 o'clock a.m., and your world time does have an AM PM indicator down there at about 4 o'clock, and that is just for your world time. Your home time AM PM indicator or your 24-hour dial is right above this one, which is what about, I guess about 10 o'clock. So that's how you know which is AM and PM between the different time zones. So again, this is your home time. Go ahead and press the mode button once. Now we're gonna go to tide. Watch the hands, watch how fast they are. I love how they slow down right before they're getting ready to stop. That's because they have those dual coil motors, which is really, really cool. Anyway, so now we're in the tide section, the tide mode. I have the tide set for Virginia Beach, Virginia, and right now it's currently high tide. And because it's the same time zone, it's only an hour away, you notice that the world time, which is now actually your tide time, is showing what, 9 something, 9:10, or actually 9:07. So nothing else changes. It's just going to show your tide, and you want to set these tides in the app. When you first get the watch and you go to the tide mode, it's going to point to that one little segment right next to the 3 o'clock index. You have to go into the app and set your tide. So I think there's like 3,000 different locations or something like that. So anyway, so it's not going to point to a tide until you actually set it inside the app. That's not something you can do on the actual watch itself. So let's go ahead and press it one more time. Now you're going to stopwatch. Everything zeroes out. Let's go ahead and start it. There you go. Go ahead and stop it. Reset it. Boom. Pretty easy. Now let's go to the timer mode. Now I've got the timer set for 15 minutes. If you notice right down here over on the, basically what's the world time sub-dial, you see it's at 15, the minute hand's at 15. So watch this. The hand's going to start moving backwards. That is so cool. That's really, really cool. All right, let's go ahead and stop it. Let's reset it. Boom, there you go. So now we're going into, I believe this is the alarm. And it should be set for, I think, 8 o'clock. Watch how fast his hands are. God, that is so cool. Yep, 8 o'clock. And you can set it to on or off. And it's currently, I think it's set to, I can't even see that, man. I think it's set to off. Anyway, you can switch it by pressing down here. Real easy. Switch on or off. And then I think you go back to the calendar mode. And now you're back at the calendar mode. Pretty cool. Now, if you press and hold this for, I think, 1 second, it brings you back to the calendar mode, no matter what mode you're in. If you press and hold it for 2 seconds, that takes you to the dive mode. You'll hear that beep. Now you're in the dive mode. All the hands zero out. There you go. And now you're in the dive mode. Press it again. Now you're out of dive mode. All the hands go back to where they're supposed to be. Man, this watch is really cool. I mean, I'm liking this thing the more I'm doing the review. But you can do so much stuff on the app. You know, it's got the Bluetooth, it's got the atomic, it's got the tides, it's got all this other stuff. But it's just so hard to kind of see that. And plus the dial has got a lot of little tiny, you know, letters for you. Yes, no, this, that. It's just so much easier to see all this information for me personally on a digital watch. I think it looks great. I mean, it's built like a tank. It looks great. You know, you can do a lot of this stuff manually too, but it's honestly so much easier just to go to the app and set all this stuff inside the app. If you've connected the watch to the phone, but for some reason you don't have your phone with you, this obviously does have atomic. It'll keep trying, I think, like 5 times after like 12 o'clock. And if it gets the time, it'll stop trying after that. So you're never going to have to worry about having the correct time on the watch. It's just automatically going to do it. So let's go ahead and look at the rest of the watch. Got that big old crown there. You got some holes drilled into it. I think that's just for effect, just for looks. Those holes, actually, it's not like it's a sensor or anything. I wish they had maybe made these buttons metal as well. I'm not quite sure why they didn't, because on a whole bunch of the other G-Shocks, these buttons are actually metal. Go over here, you got these big, huge pushers. Over on the left-hand side of the watch, got that big case, got Frogman right there. You got your proprietary strap. Again, this is actually made to resist water a lot better than some of the other straps. Here's your Caseback, your carbon core Caseback. All of these are made in Japan, whether you have the Japanese version, which actually that's what this is, or you have the other world market version. Basically, it's just a JF after the model name. That indicates it's a JDM version or Japanese domestic market version. There you go. Got your big old buckle. This buckle is more squared off and angular than the older buckles. Gets the job done. You got your dual tang there. So let's go ahead and try this thing on real quick. Now, I don't know if y'all have seen that Borneo toad version, that super colorful one. I don't know about that one, man. But this one's pretty good. It's pretty subdued. There you go. Good looking watch, man. You can see the AR coating just shining right there. It's a good looking watch for sure. All right, let's go ahead and check out the Lume. Let's go ahead and kill the studio light. Kill the monitor. You can already see it glowing. Let's go ahead and get out the UV light. Now watch this. I was really impressed for a G-Shock with this Lume. That is really nice Lume, man. And of course, you have the Super Illuminator up here. And notice how it goes in and then it fades out. Goes in, fades out. Really cool. Great Lume for a G-Shock, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and cut everything back on. Let's go ahead and wrap this review up. So I'm interested to see what y'all think about this watch. So guys, you know, like I said earlier, this is a pretty big watch. You're going to have to be a pretty big dude to pull this off successfully. It's a big watch for sure, man. I mean, it's thick. It's tall. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart. But I mean, if you want a watch you probably never have to worry about for the rest of your life, literally, that's this watch. I mean, that's why the Navy SEALs, you know, they're standard issue for Navy SEALs. That's why a lot of military and armed forces and stuff and police, that's why they love these watches, man. They're really set it and forget it. They're tough. People love these watches. All right, guys, I'll make sure to put a link in the description field for you so you can pick one of these up for Amazon. They're about $700, give or take. You know, some of the colors are a little more expensive than the others. Actually, this one, the JDM version, which is this one, was actually cheaper than the World version, which is normally the exact opposite. Normally, JDM watches command a little bit more of a premium than the ones that are meant for the rest of the world. So I was really shocked. This was like $50 less than the exact same color and model, but in the World version, which is really, really odd. But anyway, guys, as always, make sure you like and subscribe. Make sure you click that notification bell. I definitely appreciate it. Got some cool stuff coming up pretty soon, so make sure you stay tuned. And until the next review, I'll see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.